years ago. So, but how will technology, artificial intelligence, and social media change Indonesia's financial service sector? What can we expect in terms of new products that will revolutionize the way the industry works and who reaches? So Indonesia has seen explosive growth in its financial service sector over 5 years, but yet millions of Indonesians still do not have a bank account. So the further question would be whether or not the bank account will be needed with the development of big data, artificial intelligence, etc. So we have panelists here. The first is, please come into the stage, Dr. Abdallah Kablan, Chief Scientific Officer of SixCap Group. We have also Professor Rihana from Gadjah Mada University. He's an economist. And then we have Mr. Eric Kunan. Mr. Eric, consulting. Yeah, he's consulting technical advisor, Deloitte, Indonesia. Welcome. And then we have Dr. Widiawan.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Dr. Widiawan, where are you? Oh, he's coming soon. Yeah. He's the CEO of Gamma Techno. And then we have Dr. Trikuntoro from Gadjah Mada. He will talk a bit about green technology, parallel computer. Yeah, and the last we have Edi Junarsin, PhD. He will talk about the financial technology. So firstly, let me give the chance shortly for Mr. Kablan to explain about big data, artificial intelligence, etc. Please, time is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Abdallah Kablan. I'm the Chief Scientific Officer of the SixCap Group. It's a great pleasure to be speaking to all of you here today. When we speak about big data in general, we actually refer to more than one thing at the same time. We refer to things such as data acquisition, processing, filtration, extracting valuable insights from this data, big or small, recognizing patterns within these data sets and identifying various places where these data sets actually exhibit certain behavior. However, as we move along, we have 5 different types of data, or 5 different ways of which this data can evolve. We start with data. Processing that data becomes information. If information leads to knowledge, from knowledge we acquire understanding, and from understanding we achieve a form of wisdom. However, it all starts with the data, and as I said just now, different ways of which we can process the data. We can go all the way to achieving an understanding and creating some form of wisdom. Wisdom is not achievable without an intelligent process that actually extracts that information and leads it all these different steps until we can actually get something tangible out of this data. And that process is what we call nowadays artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is trying to create automated systems that exhibit intelligent behavior. Intelligence itself is very difficult and hard to define. But my favorite definition is Jean Piaget's definition, which he's a 19th century philosopher. He said, intelligence is what you do when you don't know what to do, when neither innateness nor learning has prepared you for that particular situation which you haven't seen before. Which is why we perform various methods ranging from neural networks to reinforcement learning to genetic algorithms to try to process that data in such a way that we can extract knowledge that we can use us as humans to perform various tasks and to get valuable insights from that data. So that, in a nutshell, is the mix between, or the link between artificial intelligence and big data analytics.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kaplan. And thank you. And please, Professor Vihana, would you like to talk shortly about digital economy?
Thank you very much, Pak Paribona. Actually, we are lucky to be here because I just finished for my Dean and Faculty Economic and Business at Gadjah Mada. We are under AACSB accreditation. Our team is Innovation, Impact, and Engagement. So we are dealing with the SixCap to put one of the exchange rate lab predictions. Yeah. Because as you know from our curriculum, to predict exchange rate, we only use conventional approach like time series data, cross-section data, panel data, etc. So based on forward-looking idea using the big data, cloud computing, mobile application is very useful for us to train our student because SixCap develop a good model, RESPOL model. Based on big data, they can predict precisely. But in our curriculum, we train our student to use the laboratorium to increase the highest professionalism to predict the currencies. It's very important. Using big data, we can see the behavior of our customers. Yeah. We can use random control trials, especially also we are going to develop in our centers to evaluate the Jokowi 3 smart cards impact evaluations based on population and cluster, so we can control. Yeah. But so far we don't know the impacts. So it's very useful. Artificial intelligence, big data, cloud computing, mobile application, and joint research between our center, Gadjah Mada Center, and SixCap Center. And also we can develop more center in the world, like global policy evaluation in Berkeley. They also use center to analyze policy impact evaluation every country in the world using big data. So I think this all, Pak Farid. Big data is very useful for us.
Thank you very much, Professor Vihana from Faculty of Economic and Business, Gadjah Mada. And next, would you mind, Mr. Eric Kunen, consulting for technical advisor, Deloitte Indonesia. Time is yours.
Sure, thank you very much. Perhaps I'm best to talk about innovation applied in Indonesia in financial services. Deloitte worked together with the Indonesian FinTech Association, which was established earlier this year, to determine and measure how FinTech, the combination of finance and capital companies, finance and technology companies, are changing the financial landscape in Indonesia. And big data, artificial intelligence, I think one of the conclusions from it is that the more established fintechs are not yet doing big data and artificial intelligence at grand scale, but they're making use of the sources of big data to get to the right data to make financial calls that banks and insurance companies, traditional banks and insurance companies, can't make, and that is very positive. And we've been working with OJK on figuring out what that would need to mean in terms of regulation and support for the fintech industry. To give you a couple of examples, peer-to-peer lending. The primary segment that peer-to-peer lending is focusing on is a subprime market that can't get loans from from traditional banks in Indonesia, and they're doing this by using collecting social information from various platforms, combining that with traditional information. Again, not at mass scale, but they're doing this with very disciplined sort of practices. I was sitting at a conference last week organized by Bank Mandiri next to the CEO of Uang Teman, and it's arguably the largest peer-to-peer lending model in Indonesia. And they have NPLs of 2%, which is one of the lowest in the industry, using sort of the right data of big data in order to make the calls. So very, very positive to see that. OJK, the supervising and regulatory body for financial services, is taking that very serious, and hopefully by the end of the year there will be new legislation in place to support the application of big data in finance.
Thank you very much. It's a good news for us. Yeah. And then next, Dr. Widiawan. He's the CEO of Gamma Techno.
Yes, thank you very much. About big data, I'm from Gamma Techno company. I'm also a lecturer in Universitas Gadjah Mada. We also work in data analytics for various purpose. I also recently joined what's so-called Asosiasi Ilmuwan Data Indonesia. It just declared last Thursday in Bandung. So we are keen to do data analytics, big data in Indonesia in cooperation with many other universities in Indonesia. In Gamma Techno and in Universitas Gadjah Mada, nowadays we are working for the data analytics, big data for transport. So as you might know that one of subsidiary company of UGM, which is I know, it taking care of the payment. So financial technology for payment for Transjakarta, we accumulating many data, so a terabyte of data. A current technology, I mean conventional database is not able to cope with those huge data. So with the cooperation with SixCap, we try to implement big data technology to get value from those transport data. For instance, origin, destination, audit, and etc. So yeah, we're looking forward for the implementation of big data in Indonesia. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Pak Widiawan. So next, let's give our time to Mr. Edi Junasid, PhD. He is the lecturer of finance in the Faculty of Economic and Business. Time is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Edi Junasid from the Business School. I think it's a great privilege that we have a partnership and cooperation with SixCap, that we have the lab at our Faculty of Economics and Business. From my perspective as a professor in finance, I think there's a bigger need in the future for research-based decision making. We are seeing the narrowing gap between the academic and the practical worlds. Like I remember, I think in 2003 to 2004, when I worked for a multinational corporation in agriculture, we started making a knowledge management system, and I think we were not really keen on uplifting the big data, or we call it knowledge management mechanism at that time. But just want to quickly quote research by the IBM that shows in 2012, 71% of corporations considered big data or big data system very important to leverage competitive advantage. While in 2010, there were only 36%. So when I look back at my years in 2003, nobody really paid attention to big data in shaping and leveraging competitive advantage. And in my field, again, in finance, we know that we have like millions of data that happens every second, like the exchange rate, the stock market, and other financial markets. So again, it's really a big benefit and privilege for our business school to have collaboration with SixCap to develop, I think, more financial products in the future. So we use data and research-based decision making, not only to analyze, fundamental analysis or some technical analysis from the past, but also to predict and also to proactively shape the future occurrences and future profitable events from the financial industry. Thank you.
Thank you.